Did you first? How much did you actually do, and how much pre-reading are you doing on these damn games?
None. Literally none.
Oh,
After playing 999, it was one of those things where I really kind of wanted to, and I didn't even let myself read about 999 because you and Ryan had both mentioned Virtue's Last Reward. So
yeah.
I
There's
didn't really want to spoil it for myself, and they're part of the same game pack, so I kind of figured that that was coming. See, I'm no fun to watch movies like Saw with either.
yeah. No, neither am I. The the hilarious thing was me and Ryan were sitting there the day before,
Right?
like the last time you had streamed, and we're like, he's got it again. This motherfucker has got it again. And Ryan was like, he hasn't figured out the whole K thing. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It's fine. I was talking with Ryan
We
last night. He's like, I've just started to watch your stream. He's like, you still haven't got the K thing. I'm like, you just keep watching. We're dealing with Phi right now, but you just keep watching.
and you're sitting there like, okay, okay. No, I want to know who's in that fucking suit. And I'm like, no, no, you don't. No, quit. Shut up. Shut up. So many fucking times I'm just sitting in my chair yelling at my computer screen
Well, not
to tell you
only,
just shut up.
yeah. I mean, not only are we kept away from the world and everything, but we literally never see K. For a long time, I thought K was actually going to be a straight up robot. And then when we saw the Golem Bay, I was feeling kind of vindicated about that. But I had all that extra confusion from Luna, who we heard her whole robot spiel way before we found the Golem Bay, just because of the order I played in.
Right.
And so, like, I was like, you really wanted me to be a robot, and you were hurt when I wasn't, so you're a robot. Yeah.
The thing is, she knows Sigma's not a robot. She is trying to get you. She knows about his abilities to send his consciousness.
She knows everything. She's in love with
Of
him.
course, she knows everything. That was to trigger him and
Makes sense
to,
because she's like, remember this code.
yeah, you gotta do it next time. Just remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kay was part of it was the writing. If Kay hadn't had a major tonal shift in the way that he talked, or I guess she talked, at that point in time, I wouldn't have guessed. But all of a sudden, Kay's like, I can explain everything. I know all this stuff that I couldn't possibly know. And I wasn't sold on the idea of a clone being an Esper with identical memories. But it was exactly the kind of stuff that Akane did through the entire first game.
Yeah, I kept trying to throw you enough red herrings that you would not get it, and you're no, I'm adamant on this motherfucker. This is
What
this is what happened. Okay, fine.
what's
You
up, Null
are.
Skills? Null's listening to us chit chat. So yeah, after a while I just art assets, right? And that's all you would say is just art assets.
Because you kept fucking getting it. Oh my god.
That's one of the things I like the most about this game series.
Is they give
Every
you
everything's out there. You just have to put it together. It doesn't bullshit you, or if it does bullshit you, it it doesn't actually do it. It's a lie of omission instead of an outright lie.
right.
Like if I hadn't played VLR just a few weeks after 999, I probably wouldn't have noticed that the protagonist was fully voice acted through the entire first game and not at all in this game. And that's a huge giveaway. And then every shot of all the people always excluded us. Always.
Yeah. Because you kept bringing that up, and I was like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
I
how it's
mean, it's what?
it's just how it's drawn. It's fine.
It's just how it's drawn. And I actually want to go read about it now, but I don't want to mess up Zero
Yeah,
Time Dilemma.
it will mess up Zero Time Dilemma. The wikis will give you chronological
Yeah.
stuff instead of game stuff, so it's just
That's a bummer. I did do some Google image searching for Junpei after beating VLR. And it's amazing how much he and Tenmyoji look alike. They have the same. They hold their fist up in the air when they're mad. They stroke their chin. The coloration of like the shirt and everything's still fairly similar. I hadn't
yeah.
noticed it because we didn't see ourselves a lot in the first game. But looking at it afterwards, I'm like, I should have got that.
One of the great things about like the VLR art box, like the game box that for the DS and the PS Vita, if you look at it, the Sigma on the cover has gray hair and his eye is glowing. So they threw a hint on the frickin'
Right on the
front of
box, huh?
Yeah, I was so happy you didn't see that art box.
Nope. Yep. I mean, they start in early, and I love that about this game, right? Is that it's there from the very beginning. I mean, Fi calls you old almost immediately. And I was thrown by that. I was like, the hell are you talking about? You're the one with white hair. And although, and you, this probably doesn't need to bring it, Fi has the exact same color scheme as Santa. Her eyes and hair.
That one honestly is art assets. You don't see Santa again.
That's fine. That's fine. My original thought had been that maybe she was related to Akane because they both do the flowers and the hair bit, and Santa was Akane's brother, so it's possible that even though she didn't have the white hair and the eyes, perhaps Fi had, but I'm not entirely sure that that works, knowing what I know about the past now and Fi being brought forward. But it was a thought I had at the time. Now,
Yeah, the timeline for the next one gets really fucked up. So it's going to be fun for you to
try and keep
go
it
through
together.
that one. Yeah, like I have actually sat and read the wikis and everything and know everything, and it's still trying to keep everything together on me
Gotcha.
was a pain.
Well, I playing this over like 5 game sessions or 4 game sessions was really screwing with my ability to bring up some of the finer notes from 40 hours previously.
Yeah.
But there were certain assumptions I made at the very, very beginning that I wound up carrying with me, even though there was no logical reason for it. Like, I immediately distrusted Dio, not because he was a dick, but because he had a fancy coat. Because Snake had a fancy coat and he was duplicitous. So I immediately like, oh, it's another motherfucker with a fancy coat. And then when he turned out to be a jerk, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, obviously.
You mean Ace, not Snake. Snake was
No. No, I mean when Dio was
right.
turned out to be a jerk as well. Snake had a fancy coat. The Prince, don't you remember? He had a coat very similar to Dio's.
Yeah, he's not a jerk.
He's not a jerk. No, I meant when I said when he proves to be a jerk, I meant Dio.
Oh.
When Dio is betray, fuck you, I don't care about anybody but myself. On top of me already suspecting him because of his fancy duds, I was like, okay, yeah, that made sense. The jerk.
Yeah, it became pretty clear pretty instantly that Dio was never going to vote anything other than betray.
You can never lose points if you vote betray. Right. You can only ever break even. Now, you can't get ahead very often unless you can sucker somebody into it. In the long run, it's not useful. It's like It's like people who chop down forests and don't replant trees. It's great for a little while, but then you screw yourself over if it goes over long enough.
And then you get a little fuzzy anime guy going, "I speak for the trees."
Right.
And
Yeah. I don't understand why Kay has this He-Man chest piece on, though. It's just more art, I guess. So, yeah, I think I liked 999 a little better than Virtue's Last Reward. Although I enjoyed Virtue's Last Reward immensely.
yeah,
And I think some of that was the game length. I think some of it was not having any preconceptions by the time I came into Virtue's Last Reward. Once it became clear that that was Alice and Clover, I'm like, all right, they're tying this in pretty heavily to the events of the previous game. And so there were certain, I mean, even with the bracelets, I guess, but
yeah.
they used a different system. And I presume that they used a different system strictly because of Clover. Well, I mean, nobody else had played in a well, okay, I guess that's true. Junpei did too, but
He wasn't allowed to talk about it though.
right. But I mean, they had to
wasn't allowed
change.
to say, it's 2074, right? You guys couldn't actually do this shit.
Yeah,
Because that would have ruined it right off.
I'm glad that. I actually really liked that he was in Virtue's Last Reward because I actually kind of felt him dealing with Akane was cathartic in a way. Like, I enjoyed that. I got to imagine all this stuff that happened in the middle, which, knowing that this other game comes between these two, if they're in it, then it will probably screw with everything that I've got built up in my head. But she's off trying to save the world, with Rhizome 9 and stuff like that, and he's basically wasting his life looking for her. And then he finds her and he's like, "You're not the same person I knew," and then just leaves. It's like he became much wiser through all of his years and years of like wasting his time, really. I mean, he finally met Quark and put a lot of effort and stuff like that into that. He finally got past it a little bit, and then he was really vindicated there in the end. I don't think he ever wanted to save the world. He's not that kind of guy. He got roped into it.
Yeah, he keeps getting cast as an action hero, and he's not. He just wants to be a guy and have his girl.
Yep. Not that he's going to get that either, but, that's what he wants. When we didn't find the key for the grave, I knew that we were looking at another safe situation. The safe really had me confused the first game through. I didn't want to leave that first room for a long time because I figured there was a way to deal with it. And then there just wasn't. And the game just took me on past it. It was another one of those situations like, why didn't you pick up the 9 bracelet? What do you mean you're not going to stick around and try and open the safe? At least, poke some buttons and turn some dials and try it. Put your ear up to that thing.
Oh my god, yeah. No, the first game, when no one picked up any bracelets.
Right.
It's like you didn't pick up the 9-man's bracelet. You didn't pick up the 2 bracelet. Why?
Yeah, and there were some things that were definitely just art assets things where bracelets had come off people, but they were closed. Mm-hmm. And that would throw me a few times. Definitely a few times. I know the first time that Alice was dead, and the bracelet was sitting next to her on the ground, the far-off shot showed the bracelet is closed, and then they zoomed up on it on some other playthrough and showed that it was actually unclasped. But the fact that it was closed, I was like, is she faking it? Or did somebody decide, I don't need that bracelet? You would need that bracelet. You have to have it to get through doors. Why is it still there?
I still love Kay on the bunny ride.
Kay on the bunny ride was awesome. And it gets even better if Kay is Kyle. Because I don't care.
That timeline he is.
Yeah.
That timeline he was.
But I mean, I don't care what they said at the end where they were talking about the bonus ending where they talk about Sigma really loving Kyle and stuff like that. That kid did not have an easy life. He certainly didn't have much in the way of a childhood. So not only was it fun to see him on that thing, it also means that was in that base his entire lifetime and he never got to see it, or at least he didn't remember it. He didn't get to play games. He had to study and study and study to learn genetic engineering and stuff.
I'm super sad 03 didn't last very long.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. That seemed like a character that could have gone on longer, and Zero the Third was still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still operating machinery and stuff like that. It was still a user agent that was there, part of that quantum box that controlled all the machines that did their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It just never came back up again, and that was weird to me. Really weird.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm done. What do you mean you're done? No, I want you to stay in the game. You're great.
I looked through my notes, because right when we were entering those codes at the end to deactivate the bombs, I started figuring out what they meant.
Yeah.
Because I've done enough D&D ciphers, which are really simple ciphers like that, that I started recognizing the LX pattern there. And so I got most of them right. I got My Brother and Freeze the Soul and Myrmidons. But there was one that was Crash Keys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea what that is? Does that come up later?
I know exactly what that is.
Okay,
and you can't know yet.
Okay. So I did decode that, though. It was there. I'm sure it's something important. But... And then looking through the cheat notes, I found out that I was right about GTM and GTF being the male and female designations for the bots. I wouldn't have guessed they would have made Cockney model. It was literally all M's and F's. I don't know. I feel like to you, it feels like I was really fast. To me, I feel like I was really slow on some things. How long did I have the I Love Clem password written down, and I didn't even see it until...
Well, you didn't notice because you didn't know Clem was the surname.
Or Climb or whatever. But yeah, I didn't.
It's Clem. Fuck their pronunciation.
I know. Well, the thing that got me doing it was Milk, right? It just says Milk, EVOLI, and then I had watched a comedy thing, a Titus comedy thing a while back. He does Love is Evil, and he spells it EVOL. It's backwards. And that's what sparked me off on it. So I was like, oh, that's I Love. Who the fuck is Clem? That can't be right.
Yeah, and that brings a lot of questions about robots to the table. Was she programmed to love him, or did she naturally love him from a blank personality?
My thought is it's probably the latter. And the only reason I say that is everything else seemed to have free will unless they were ordered to do so otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Because she's AI, so...
She protested really hard. She was really unhappy with what Kurashiki was going to do, and Kurashiki had to make them orders to make her do that stuff. She was real unhappy about that.
Yeah, Luna's End really gets me.
You know what pisses me off the most about Virtue's Last Reward? I picked the right path to start, but was blocked by about 8 story blocks. I mean, it's pure luck. I didn't want another missed situation where I accidentally beat the game immediately, but I wrote down the 13 paths that I took so I wouldn't accidentally duplicate anything really. And I knew I wouldn't because of the path, but it's just a habit that I'm in, so I could tell you which run I got which bomb codes at and stuff like
Right.
that. The very first one though is like Cyan betray red ally question mark.
Yeah, I did love. No, you're gonna have to sit aside some time. There's like 11 blocks you have to go through.
Yeah, it was long.
It's like I did not feel bad about spoiling that. It's like you got 11 blocks. You're a long way away.
Pack a lunch, buddy.
And it took you what, like 5 hours?
Something like that. Yeah, the last stream I think was 5 hours. I feel like the later rooms were not nearly as hard puzzle-wise as the first ones.
No, none
They had less puzzles.
Right. None of them were especially hard, but
Well, I don't know. The dice one had its moments. It was when I stopped thinking and just started fiddling with it until I could get something in that position with the right number.
yeah. And you have to remember, I didn't play VLR.
Oh, you didn't?
I had started to play VLR, and then you started playing, and it was like, okay, there's no point. That's why I was rushing so hard to beat Zero Time Dilemma.
Oh, I
didn't have another VLR situation.
Oh no, I was gonna wait for you to finish that. I didn't realize you hadn't finished VLR.
Yeah, no, I think I played.
So did you just read the wiki?
Yeah. No, I had read the wiki back when I beat 999,
Oh, okay.
and it already had VLR stuff in it. So I was already more or less spoiled for it.
Yeah.
So I just went ahead and kept reading.
Gotcha. Makes sense. There's this moment at the very end of the game and the true ending where we see a picture of Sigma, right? As a young man,
Yeah.
I think it was. And everyone's like, I got no idea who that is. No, it's not even a picture. It's when we see Kyle in the chest. Yeah.
In the pod.
And everyone's like, I got no idea who this is. We're wearing the exact same clothing. Like, I'm looking at the VLR box art that's got the young Sigma in the middle of it. It's the exact same doofy staff shirt with the anarchy symbol and stuff like that on it.
Yeah, and it's...
like, I've never seen this guy before in my life.
And most of his physique is the same.
His arms are. I think that's why they always looked young when we did see them. Is they're robot arms. They wouldn't age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Sealy Bob.
They don't
We're
degrade.
we're just discussing.
Don't de-age.
Well, they degrade if you put that muscle relaxant in them.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That brings up a whole nother thing with the bracelets and
Yeah.
So does the white blood circulate to the?
It said that it was, even if it's not the white blood, some fluid inside of it must. Some fluid must. I don't know. It kind of explains. Like, I don't know if that was in.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Yeah, Sealy Bob, we're just kind of doing a wrap up. I'd intended on doing this after the last game, but our presence had been requested strongly for some Friday the 13th, and we never got around to it.
Sorry, my son decided to pop in and go, "You're talking white blood, you're racist." No, we're talking actual physical white blood. Robot arms.
Yeah, it's like Alien or Aliens, and I'm almost certain that that's why that's white instead of like black like oil or something else like that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's a reference. There's no way. There's no way that Quark isn't a Ferengi reference. The Secrets Note even make a joke about him having big Ferengi ears in there. Wolverine said he was going to make the racist joke.
It's sad my son beat you to it.
Yeah. But We're talking about the arms and how that
Yes.
brings up the bracelets.
Yeah, because, you inject the shit into Luna and she falls apart, but she doesn't die. Which, she's full robot, understandable.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think it still spreads back and would still eventually paralyze our heart. But if it didn't, like if they gave us the antidote, I'm assuming that we would just be robot arms.
Yeah. That one always got me. It's like he has robot arms. This shit shouldn't work on him.
Didn't bother me as bad as 999 with Snake. Because that was, what, 2017 or something like that? And I know it's an alternate.
No,
No?
it's
2017 was
it's a
the
year
first
before.
one. It's 2027. So they still got 9 years or so
No,
that
it's
they.
2026 in 999.
Was it 2026? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the late 2020s.
Well, yeah, I thought it was
Because
2027 because I thought this was basically, he thought it was the next year and it was 2028 about to turn 2029.
yeah, because Clover mentions it was a year before that she got taken for the Nonary game.
Yeah. Well, if that's the
And
case, if it was the year before, then it would have been 2027 when 999 took place.
yeah.
But, so they got 9 years to develop robot arms, apparently, because Snake's arm seems an awful lot like those arms.
Well, I think they made the robot arms like that just because of, yeah, he has a fake arm. How to come it acts normal through every cutscene.
Yeah. Well, that's
Because
what happened with Snake, to the point of grabbing somebody and not letting go with his. I don't know. I'd have just taken the damn arm off if I was Snake.
yeah, that's what got me. Is like, yeah, my arm's fake, and he took the bracelet off somehow, and then still had his hand or his arm attached.
I thought he would leave the whole arm in 999, but I think he probably just folded his hand in such a way because he said that he could have taken it off at any time. So maybe his hand unscrews or detaches for maintenance and he can just slide it off, or maybe he just folded his thumb over in an unnatural way and just pulled it off. But yeah.
That's what always got me was he. Oh, I took it off, but I still have full use of my hand. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
What?
There was that confused me too. I believe you said art assets.
Yeah.
There's
Because
just
it doesn't make sense otherwise.
it's weird that I've seen the screenshots in Steam for Zero Time to Limit. That's the only foreknowledge I really have of it. Seems
Right.
to be a much harsher and gorier game, which is interesting
It-
because Virtue's Last Reward is far less gory than 999.
Yes. This is literally a game of death.
So it saw.
More or less, it is the Nonary Games Saw edition.
Gotcha. Okay, well,
Because in the first minute and a half of the game, you learn that there are 9 people in here. 6 of them have to die for 3 to escape.
but that fits totally with the radio transmission that we heard. In Virtue's Last Reward, there was a chip where a woman's on the radio and she says 6 people are dead. I guess I killed them. And then says 6 billion people are going to die.
Yes.
So that makes sense. It's awful. Both of the previous games give you an option to save everyone if you do it right.
If you do it right, you can save either almost everyone or everyone. Because you can't save the 9-man or any of the other bad guys. But
Didn't she say that was actually the only person with a bomb?
9-man Nine Man had one, and Ace had one in case he got out of line.
Null
And
Skill
everybody else
says, betray all the way, baby.
did. So go the Dio path.
Yeah. Well, that didn't end so well for Dio either. It makes me wonder what happens at the end of some of these paths afterward. Those timelines all happened, by the way, from what I can
Yes.
tell of the metaphysics. When they were talking about bouncing around, we had the potential for 27 bad endings to save one timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get into the biker analogy. And I'm like, it's a rough time for those 9 bikers.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that you can just go down and open the other door.
I do love that the next game talks in depth about Back to the Future.
Wow, I approve of that. I was afraid that Virtue's Last Reward was going to do Bill and Ted on us. At one point in time, I said, "Are we on San Dimas time?" Because they said if we went back in time, we couldn't go back far enough; it would have already happened.
Right.
And like no matter where you are, the clock here, the clock in San Dimas is always running. So it put them on
Mm-hmm.
a deadline, and that's a ridiculous way to view time travel unless it's somehow tethered. But
Don't forget to wind your watch.
right. Like, I actually kind of want that to be a line in it, even though watches are terrible in this game and you don't want to wear one.
I'm still so upset I don't have mine anymore.
Yeah, I wonder if you
It
could
was
find it on eBay or
such.
something.
It, I ended up getting mine through. It was a forum listing. He's like, "Yeah, I bought the game. I have no interest in the watch.
Yeah.
I'll sell you the watch for $60. Fuck yes, give it."
Yeah, it's out there. I went and I looked, and there's a VLR watch in yellow for $85.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like there's a Zero Escape 3. They're kind of clunky, square looking watches.
Yeah.
They're like $23.
Really.
So that's not so bad. Yeah.
Probably because it's a clunky watch.
Or if you really want it, there's a Zero Escape VLR full watch set plus game for $400. Plus, somehow it's another $60 in shipping because it's from France.
Yeah.
I don't think I need it that bad. Steely Bob just got back from the store where he picked up the dual pack of the Bill and Ted movies for $5. I was thinking a Bill and Ted movie night would be a fun double feature. But
Yeah.
Virtue's Last Reward was by far the more horrifying of the two games for me. I really thought that after watching Quark try and kill himself once, I would be over it. But
Oh
it was
God, no.
genuinely distressing for at least the first 2 or 3 times that it happened. I was glad that it doesn't happen. You just never see it happen.
Yeah.
But it was
I
distressing.
think in all but like 1 or 2 endings, Quark is always in a pod.
Right. Well, you basically have to not find the pods. And even then he goes missing.
Well, when he goes missing, I honestly think Luna goes and shoves him in a pod. Because
It makes sense. There's nothing to be gained from him doing that. I'm not even sure why he's there other than as bait. They just needed another person.
Because Junpei forced him to go.
I know, but I mean, like, he was literally there because he had been there in the history before. That's it. He didn't offer a prime factor decomposition or solve a puzzle or give an important piece of information at any point in time. He was there because he was there.
Right.
And I would say
And like
as a writer, he's there
that's
to horrify you with the reveal of Radical Six.
yes. And he does. I mean, whoever they got to voice act that shit, the
Yeah,
chills.
I watched a trailer for VLR because there's an anime of
Yeah.
VLR, and I was okay with everything up until Tenmyoji spoke, and he had that high pitched old man voice, and my brain just ground to a halt at that point in time. It's like I can't do this. Usually I'm just fine and even prefer the Japanese casts, but the English cast was so good and it was so jarring between the two. I went, you know what? I'm probably not gonna watch this. There's a novelization of Nine Persons, Nine Doors,
Mhm.
9 Hours, or whatever. I don't know if there's an English translation or not, but
I'm still upset 999 changed the final puzzle to what it
they,
was
they,
because it was originally a Sudoku puzzle that you had to finish.
I'm really relatively okay at those. I've
Yeah, I
had a
mean, it
few.
wasn't a hard one by any means, but it was, oh, now you just have to move a couple letters around and put escape down at the bottom. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, it was pretty straightforward. That's the funny thing about some of the puzzles and some of the conclusions I came to. I will admit there are some things I came to on an instinctual level from having just played
Hmm.
so many puzzles growing up, like the magic square in 999. There's
Hmm.
no reason for me to have suspected that it was, except every magic square puzzle I've ever played adds up to 15. And so I played it like it added up to 15, even though I didn't know the answer. Or putting the tiles on the door in 999, I had no idea that there were letters on them at
Yeah,
all.
that's
It
like
was just
you're like, there's four
there.
blanks, there's four E's, let's do it.
Yep, I just I completely missed a whole piece of the puzzle just
There
because
was
some
a
part of
whole
me went, "Oh
puzzle
yeah,
there.
yeah." Some part of me just went, "Yeah, just stick them there. It's fine." And I did, and it worked. So,
And then it was like there was 14s on each of those. I didn't even see them. Just let's move on.
yep. Like, oh, huh? Didn't even notice that.
What I'm
Okay.
really happy about in VLR, there's one room that it is all the uh, block puzzles where you have to like move the red rod across the puzzle to unlock things.
Yeah.
There was a whole room full of them. That was the happiest room for me in the game. And it was like they got hard, and I was like, ooh,
You know, my least favorite puzzle room in VLR was the Q room. It felt
yes,
gratuitous. I'd solved all the puzzles before, so there was no. The only reason to possibly do that was a final check to see had you played through a bunch of rooms you couldn't have gone through before. All of those puzzles were puzzles you couldn't have taken on that track.
right.
That's it. But if you're good at puzzles, you could have solved them anyway, so it's not a very good test. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't know why Clover looks like Pebbles.
Pebbles. Yeah, I
I
never
don't.
got that either. I mean, it was from the way everything reads. She was trying to emulate Alice as much as she could after she got captured, and Alice
So,
came to save her.
so she just didn't want to wear anything from, say, the bottom of her breasts to the tops of her hips.
So Alice picked a garish, outlandish outfit to throw suspicion off of her about being a secret agent. So I'm guessing Clover did the same.
We call that
And
hiding in plain sight.
yes, because showing your titties to everybody by a necklace and a cave girl outfit is the greatest way to hide in plain sight and not draw attention to yourself.
Right.
No secret agent would ever dress like that.
Well, It never turns out like that in James Bond. They all wear evening gowns and stuff. I've never seen one that looks like she escaped from a rave. And Dio, with his early poke in the cheek, tongue deep in the cheek of, I'm a ringleader. Oh, really? Really?
Ringmaster.
Ringmaster, that's what it was. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you were.
Yeah, it was interesting to see him just go, yeah.
What I feel like I should do is go back and, well, okay, maybe I don't need to go back and do this. Maybe you know the answer for it. At one point in time, you find a bomb in the lab.
Yes.
In another timeline, that bomb moves to the control room.
Mm-hmm.
If all the doors were unlocked once those puzzles were done, because everybody had solved the puzzles and moved on, why would he have put the bomb somewhere else in that one timeline?
From the best guess I have, people were in there, so he just put it somewhere else.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
Because I think because he always puts it in while people are searching for Quark.
Mm-hmm.
Is when he goes about and starts throwing bombs everywhere. So I want to say in that timeline everybody was down on the second floor in like the control areas and stuff, so he moved it.
Makes sense. It's just one of those things that I had written down as a note because I thought we might have a timed thing like when we try and save Alice from the self-unlocking timeline, where it would give us a choice of which room. Like, you have 25 minutes and it takes you 5 minutes to get to a location, so you better have remembered which rooms they're in.
Yeah.
But that was not the case. But I expected that to be. I'm deeply gratified by the fact that they at least made you memorize some codes and do some math. The first game gave you a calculator. So remembering some of that stuff between timelines, I was gratified for that. It gave me some extra consequence to it.
Right.
So there's a iOS version of 999.
That has an extra ending.
And no puzzles, apparently.
Well, how could you do puzzles on an iOS device?
Yeah, how could I play puzzle mini games on my iPad? It seems like a natural place to do it. Because I thought about getting it for someone who pretty much only plays, well, my stepmom. I thought about getting it for her. She pretty much only plays iOS kind of games. She's not a gamer, but she likes mystery stories. And I thought, maybe for her iPad. But not if it takes all the puzzles out. She won't read it. Well. So you enjoyed Zero Time Dilemma?
Zero Time Dilemma was the weakest of the three. It definitely was, and they may as well slapped a to be continued to the true ending.
They did that with VLR. Literally said, tune in next time.
Yeah, well.
This is even more so. It's like one of the fade to black to be continued endings.
It's going to definitely have to be a post Zero Time Dilemma discussion.
Okay. Well, I know that Ryan is still playing Danganronpa 2, but he's also playing Zero Time Dilemma. So I'll probably wait until he's done with it, unless it takes him longer than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's short.
If it takes him longer than a couple of weeks, I think I've got a 3-day weekend coming up. President's Day, maybe? But that'll give me a chance to play it then.
Because, I mean, I have 25 hours in it, and I know there was a couple times I just left the game running.
Yeah.
So, and went and did other things and just had it up because I didn't want to save and quit. But, adult life happened.
I was having withdrawals is not the right word, but when I finished VLR, I went looking for other games that were in this vein, and there's surprisingly few.
I know. It is very sad.
Apparently, they weren't popular in Japan.
No, they had to rebrand it. That's why it turned from 999 and VLR to Zero Escape. Was
Huh.
because they went and rebranded it and they got a new company to do the games.